Hello everyone, and welcome back. Sorry for the lack of uploads recently. I recently moved, and I've only just been able to come back to start working on the podcast. Fear not, we still have a lot to come, including this fantastic team report we did with KD you're about to watch, as well as the world's preview episode which will be coming out next. That episode will act as the season finale for season 1, and then we'll be beginning work on season 2. But until then, we still have some episodes to come. There just won't be any live episodes for about a month. Check the Discord to find out when. Until then, please enjoy this video and subscribe to be ready for when the launch of season 2 comes out. Thank you very much, and we'll see you soon. Bye bye.
So now, I would like to have a little interview with our guest, Mr. KayDeeVGC. First of all, KD, once again, thank you so much for to be on our podcast tonight. As you mentioned earlier, you are resting, recuperating, soothing the injuries to your body. Make it sound as though like you've gone around the world battering people. That's what VGC is. It's just, Europe, you know.
That's true.
Yeah, it's just, you're in a ring, last man standing rules every time. Some people might not actually know you as well as we do, so I kind of thought, why don't we have what I like to call a quick fire question round for you. So I've got 10 questions for you, KD, and I want you to literally just answer it with the first thought that comes into your mind. There is no wrong answer, except for one maybe. 3, 2, 1, go. Right, name.
Julian.
First starter in a Pokemon game.
Piplup.
Favorite band or music artist?
Favorite band or music artist? I don't really have one.
That's fair. We'll just say Barrett. He played Wonderwall like 3 weeks ago. It's fine.
On the dog
guitar. Tea or coffee?
Neither.
Oh, interesting. What do you drink then? What's your favorite drink?
Just Coke. Just Coke.
Yeah, we'll go with that. I thought you were going to flash like some sort of alcoholic drink. It's like, no, this is my fuel. What is your favorite snack? And please don't say Iron Crown.
Favorite snack? I'm gonna say Thai sweet chili chips.
Oh, very good, very good. Favorite TV show or film?
Attack on Titan.
First Pokemon game you ever played?
Pokemon Diamond.
Oh, good choice. Favorite video game franchise that isn't Pokemon?
Mario.
What is your dream holiday destination?
Japan.
If you could have an entrance theme, what would it be?
Entrance theme, probably just the Attack on Titan. The main theme song.
Oh,
it is a banger.
That is a banger. Let's deep dive a little bit with KD. I've known you personally for quite a bit now. You know, I can't really remember how we first met. I just remember we were finishing up with Generation 8 and we did like the end of generation celebration tournament on, I want to say it was Limitless. KD came into my stream when I was 1 and 2. It was against a Weezing and Calyrex Shadow Rider. Oh, no, it was Weezing and Regieleki, and I had Torn and Calyrex Shadow Rider. And I realized to myself, I was like, oh, okay, right, if this Regieleki Dynamaxes, I might die here. So I Dynamax Torn, and then KD played a sound on my soundboard, which was the wah wah wah, because Regieleki Dynamaxed. So literally, as the opponent Dynamaxes Regieleki, I'm going, oh no, I probably lost this. KD's playing soundboard bites of just wah wah. And then I lived because, believe it or not, his Weezing neutralized his own ability. And I had, my EV spread was enough to live a max lightning. So I just max airstreamed, Astral Barraged, and won the set. And my opponent was so confused. But like, KD was, oh, so funny. Just KD's just playing wah-wah. And I'm just like, you're enjoying that, KD? He's like, yeah, I am actually.
Well, that was a crazy game though, to first come into the stream and see that. I think Torn survived on like 25 HP, I think, or something like that.
He was deep in the red.
Very, very
like
low.
He should have fainted. I think if it was a higher damage roll, he would have been knocked out. I guess the question really should start off with is, you know, because your story, I feel, is quite an interesting one, because Pokemon VGC wasn't really your first dab into like esports in general, was it?
Yeah, sure. I'll talk about my background. So before I started playing like competitive Pokemon, I was a competitive Clash Royale player on the mobile game for about, I think I'd say 5 or 6 years.
Wow.
So it's been quite a while, and I was looking for like something else to play competitively, and I stumbled on like one of the streams of Pokemon, and I had Sword and Shield like bought, so I was like, I'm just gonna try it out, because it was like it had like some similar pieces. It's like thinking what the opponent's gonna do, etc. Like it's a lot of the same similar like thought mechanics. So I was like, it's quite interesting, and yeah, it took me about, I think, 3 to 4 months in the beginning to try and like understand the mechanics of Dynamax, because of course it was very, very different than like BDSP, etc. It's like very like down to earth and Dynamax was something very, very crazy. But it was quite interesting to like, dabble into the Pokemon VGC side after, playing a mobile game for about 5-6 years and to switch over to, that type of stuff.
But it's not the only thing you've done, though, is it? I want to just quickly ask you about your history with speedrunning, because you've dabbled in speedrunning as well, haven't you?
Yeah, so I was also I don't know if you guys, I was also of course a speedrunner before. I did speedruns of Super Mario Galaxy 1 and 2. I've done speedruns of Super Mario Odyssey. It requires a lot of things, like a lot of memory, so you have to be able to memorize like the routes, etc., and the tricks, etc. Having that as well as Clash Royale, Pokemon's also a very much a memory game of your calculations, etc., that preparation that you've done. So it also helps with that. At least I find it's also helps with the mental game as well, because being focused for hours and hours, because those runs take 3-4 hours. So being focused for that amount of time also helped me, I guess, strengthen my mental game as well for the regionals, because those last 8, 9, 10, 11 hours for the whole day. So having that mental strength also, I think, also really helped me excel in Pokemon VGC. I feel like,
and this is what my thought was when you were mentioning about speedrunning. I thought about this while I was on the train home. I was kind of thinking, like, is there any way to speedrun a VGC regional? Like, and then I just had a thought of like everyone trying to do like glitch attempts of like glitching into the building where the regional's at. You see someone like forward rolling, back jumping into the
jumping in the corner.
Yeah, exactly. Like someone's like trying to duplicate an item or something, duplicating switches.
Just thinking about like everyone backwards long jumping around and the developers in the regional being like, "Oh, this is so embarrassing! I can't believe it."
Oh no, I tell you what, it would. It would
it's
be
happening right now.
It would be the exact same scenario of the very first regional that ended up getting, game one, DC. Round one DC. It'll be the Game Freak employee and the Nintendo employee literally giving each other dagger eyes. Literally looking at the camera dagger eye and then just be like, "I told you."
I suppose in keeping with what Alex was talking about you kind of being relatively new to the game and coming from different backgrounds, I wondered what you feel that the image of you from the community was when you started versus how you feel that the community sees you as a player now. I feel like that progression's been so fast and you've achieved so much in such a short space of time. We see stories of people like Rajan Bal who has been playing for years and years and years, only just managing to crack a regional title, and it feels like you're just around the corner from that already. So I'd love to hear more about how you feel about the community's view of you as a player.
Yeah, for sure. So when I first joined the Pokemon community, like about 2.5 years ago, I didn't really know anybody. I knew one person. His name was X Delta, was also a friend of mine. He was actually in the Dutch VGC server like already before, because he did some draft things with some of the players. So I got introduced to Dutch VGC quite early on. So I started in March 2022, and then like 3 or 4 months later I joined the Dutch VGC Discord server. From there I just started talking to some players, and I was just asking around to like general tips on how to improve, etc. And they gave me some servers. That's how also I joined the London Corviknights I got from Reiki. He gave me the server for the London Corviknights Discord. Got to meet a couple players there as well and joined the tournaments. And from that, it's just been, playing those regularly, and just also started streaming on Twitch. Also, I think it helped a lot because Pokemon community on Twitch was incredible. I mean, the growth I've had on it is insane. Like they're so incredibly nice. At least what I've experienced. Of course, there's a couple characters that it's always gonna have some communities. Some characters will be a little bit off, but most of them have been really, really nice. And from there, just going to my first ever regional, which was in Bochum in 2023. I met some of the players I've been talking to online, etc. And from there, it's just been snowballing, etc., etc. And then I got to play my first World Cup last season as well, being able to make the cut as well. And then from there, it's just been keep on playing and just making like good connections in the community as well. Being able to grow as a player, asking people for help, etc. on things is really, really a nice thing in the Pokemon community, because everyone's so open to it, at least for the most part. It was very, very different because from the Clash Royale community, you didn't really get much help. You were just pretty much on your own. So it was a very, very different experience, and it was very, 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 very nice overall to experience that. To
know that you came into a community and felt that it was a change from what you're used to, and that being that people were very welcoming, it's actually a very encouraging thing to hear. Like you mentioned, we do hear some of these things about the community sometimes, but I generally think that it's great that although it kind of does almost feel like Pokemon's one of those games where you really do have to be in a community to enjoy it properly, at the same time, once you do find that place, then it can be great.
No, I do agree with you. And obviously, shout out to Reiki for giving you that link. I hope Reiki Jr. is doing fantastic, which is Reiki's imaginary Reiki. It's fine. He's fine. He's fine. Also, Reiki's like ridiculously tall. It's kind of frightening. Yeah, honestly, he's a very tall man.
Really tall. I think he's like 6'4".
He is.
Something like that.
Yeah, he towers over me, and I'm like 6'2". You are a giant, my friend. You are a Farafarig.
That's where he's been.
That's where he's been. No wonder no one could go near him. He's got the armor tail ability on.
He had his priorities in order.
So, obviously you've, like Barrett mentioned, you've achieved so much in such a little space of time. You've top cutted multiple regionals now. Like you've top cutted in multiple tournaments as well. Has the feeling of top cutting changed over that course, or has it always been like a really good feeling that you've top cut every time?
I think when I first started my first tournaments in Bochum, like let's talk about IRL tournaments, when I got day 2, like on my first ever regional, which was like absolutely insane, but then like that feeling, I wanted to have it again. I wasn't able to get it that whole season, like the first season I played. So I was really like motivated to like work as hard as I can in the off season and in the regional in the months leading up to that. Like in Liverpool, that was incredible. Like I worked so hard with the Iron Crown team that making day 2 and 11-3 and almost making top 8, but not making it due to resistance was like insane. And then that feeling is still really, really good. It's not. It gets better each time. I feel like, because you're there with your friends, etc., and everyone's like always super happy for you, and everyone's supporting. You can all see always super excited, etc. It's really, 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 really fun. And I think in the regionals that I participated this season and internationals, I think I've day 2'd in 3 out of 4 events, I believe, that I went to.
You definitely did top cut numerous ones.
One of them being UIC this year, and then also Utrecht as well.
Oh yes, of course, yeah. Home ground, home territory.
Exactly, home turf advantage.
Yeah. Oh, I can't believe KD's put Dutch terrain on the field.
I suppose it leads me on to a question I have about what it feels like to compete in so many tournaments from different places. Being a tournament guy, for example, you mentioned having the home field advantage. Do you feel that it's easier to compete in a tournament that is in a location that's more familiar to you? And if so, I mean, why?
I think it depends, I guess. Like because we are in Europe, we don't really have like too much issues with time zones, etc. Like the time difference is pretty much the same. But I guess it depends also on how you sleep. If I don't sleep well, I'm probably not going to be doing well in the tournament. But I don't think it has too much to do with home turf. Of course, it feels better being on home turf because you have a lot more of that community like participating. Like the Dutch community, we had like over 140, I think 150 Dutch people competing at the Utrecht thing. So
that's
it feels
a small
lot more,
army. What are you doing?
Yeah, it was crazy, but I think it makes I guess some sort of sense because it's better in home turf because there's a lot more community. But of course, if you travel to those international etc., you're gonna have a much smaller group. Of course, we have more friends that are like come from different regions, so I guess you have your friend group as well. But it feels I guess it does feel a little bit easier on home turf. But if you have also that group of friends going as well, it also feels the same.
That's crazy, like 150. That is literally a sport. Yeah. Maybe we should try and do that next time there's a UK regional, if there is one.
I was wondering, where are all the UK people? Oh, we're not the only community, right? Are we the only UK community?
Yeah, Barrett, me and you are the only UK Pokemon players now.
You know what I mean? Like, there's,
I'm sorry, you made it sound as though it was like someone who's just woken up and is like, where is everyone?
I'm like, 1 minute, are we the only people in the whole country? No, I realised that there are quite a lot of communities in various different places. Lots of different countries seem to have a bit of a kind of hub, especially in Europe as well. The different European countries tend to really stick together. But I always feel like, and I'm really happy about this, that there doesn't seem to be a solid UK base of players. I feel like we actually end up incorporating a lot of people from other places, and I think that well, maybe that's just part and parcel of actually being a real British person, really, to be like encompassing of all culture actually. So maybe that's just something like that. But I do wonder if you feel that as somebody who's maybe closer knit into more of the European communities, how you feel that those communities shape out in relation to each other.
Yeah, I think if you're looking at like the Spanish and Italian community, they're like they are very, very close with each other. Like the amount of like work they do together is insane, and that's why of course they're one of the best regions like in Europe. I would say, like, because if everyone is so close with each other, working with each other, also speaking the same language, I think that also helps a lot. In my opinion, at least, because in the Dutch VGC we have mainly Dutch players, so we also only speak like Dutch in those communities. But I think overall, if you speak the language, it is very, very helpful, of course, to learn from those players as well. And
just thinking back to Barrett's point about like the communities and whatnot, and I think that kind of is sort of what's great about our community, is the fact that we aren't just center. I mean, obviously our name is London Corviknights, but that's only where we're based. That's not our ideology, if you will. We're always very much like, welcome on in. I don't care where you're from, just as long as you're nice to each other, we don't care. Like, I like to think every Pokemon community is welcoming to everyone else, and I especially am delighted when I see these communities like the Dutch lot and the Italians and the Spanish players, who are all quite closely tight knit, do really well together. And like seeing that image especially of KD and the rest of the Dutch players at Utrecht, all 150 of you just like in one photo, phenomenal. It really put a smile on my face. And it proved just how nice and close you all are. I like to think immediately as that photo finished, all of you turn around to each other and just be like, oh yeah, what was your placing? Yeah, what was your score? What was your score? Did you get day 2? No. Why are you here?
The crowd split in the middle from all the people who went 6-3 and 7-2. Like, just went.
Just turns into that scene in West Side Story. It's just all the 6 and 3 players are just like, well, there's gonna be a rumble tonight. Katie's on the other side clicking his fingers. He's just like, yeah, 7-2, all right.
how we usually take pictures with the GC community is all the people that have day 2 are all the way at the front, and the rest are all behind us. So you can kind of see.
Now, okay.
Oh, so I was joking, but it is actually a little bit true.
Yeah, it is not like fully, but like there's like a little bit of a little bit of that. Yeah.
Barrett's like, I was joking, but
Psst, subscribe.
Right, I actually want to talk about your teams, KD, especially your Liverpool and EUIC teams, because I had the pleasure of running the same team as you in Liverpool, which I still deem as a great honour, because I know you were cooking this up, and I was especially delighted when I asked you, like, hey, do you want any, like, shiny Pokemon in your team? Because I'm, like, randomly trying to find a shiny Indeedee for myself. And I remember you saying, like, oh, yeah, sure, if the IVs are correct and whatnot. And I feel like fate was on my side that day, because, like, as soon as I asked you, I put on a psychic sandwich on, because I remember it was quite late in the day. I was quite tired, but I was like, I need to get this Indeedee. I found 2 Indeedees. One had the Ecluse mark, which is the rarest mark you can get, and that is 1 in 600,000 odds. And I was like, okay, that's mine, because like the attack IVs weren't that bad. So I was like, okay, that's mine. And then I looked on the second one, and it had 0 attack IVs. So I was like, I need to give this to KD. Like, nice. This is the Indeedee he needs. So I gave him the Indeedee, and he traded me his Indeedee at the time, which I still have, by the way. It's still sitting in my copy of Violet. It's quite funny to see like all the other Pokemon in the box. Like, I try and put it in teams, so it's like there was like another version of this team that I put together, and it's just like Iron Crown, Landorus, the Glue, Tornadus. The Glue. It's just like KD terminology and my like non-terminology. No, I was especially delighted when the Indeedee I got for you did really well for you, and you went quite far with it, because I was really worried it was going to be like, oh, I've just given him, like, he's going to get checked, and they're going to be asking questions, and they're going to ask who the hell is Iron? Point him out. Like, Katie's like, that one. Just see the judges chasing me with a net.
It's that guy from the podcast. Get him.
Yeah, it's that guy from the podcast with the Corviknight. I'll call Barrett from the net, and I'll just be like, Barrett, really sorry, mate. I just got caught.
Yeah, you're going to have to bail me out of Poke Prison.
You need to send me some Poke dollars.
Yeah, why?
Come visit me. I really enjoy playing this team. I'm really not joking when I'm saying this. You were the best with one particular mon in question, yes, which is this Iron Crown. Let me just point out what the team is actually. So the team KD ran was a Terra Water Iron Crown with Booster Energy with Quark Drive. With Expanding Force, Terrakion Cutter, Terra Blast, and Protect. Terra Water, obviously making that Terra Blast Water. In DDF, with Rocky Helmet, Psychic Surge, Terra Fairy, Psychic Follow Me, Helping Hand, and Trick Room. Urshifu Single Strike, obviously Dark type, with the Focus Sash, running Wicked Blow, Close Combat, Sucker Punch, and Detect. Sorry, Adamant Nature. I have to throw that in there just to see if Barrett triggered.
It's fine.
He's fine. Then we've got Landorus with Life Orb, Sheer Force. This is Landorus Incarnate. And then you got Tornadus Incarnate with Covert Cloak, Prankster, Terra Type Steel, and Ogerpon Wellspring. Terra Water, of course, because it's holding the Wellspring Mask. Ivy Cudgel, Hornleech, Soul Stance, Spiky Shield set. My first question for KD regarding this team, or his Liverpool team, is what made you want to run Iron Crown? Because I know me and you talked about this privately about running Iron Crown, but not everyone knows about the conversations we had building up to Liverpool. So what made you like the thought of using Iron Crown?
So I was actually I found this like team, so like this was like weeks prior to Liverpool, so Iron Crown just came out with the DLC. So I'd caught Iron Crown, and I saw this team on Limitless that got, I think, second place in like a 150 player tournament. So I was like, okay, this looks very interesting. Like it's somewhat things I've played before with Tailwind, and then Expanding Force, just PSYSPAM basically. And you don't have to rely on Trick Room, because the old PSYSPAM teams you had to rely on Trick Room, and if you didn't get it up, you would pretty much almost always lose. So this was a nice thing of I can run Tailwind and I can run PSYSPAM, which was very, very nice. And Iron Crown, being 1 point faster than Urshifu, made it so that I can just run max speed and just Oko Urshifu direct with Tachyon Cutter, and then you kill all the Urshifu waters with just Expanding Force, which was very, very nice. And the move Tachyon Cutter can never miss. It's the same like Kautok Leaf, like King Gambit. It has 100% accuracy, so you can always hit, especially like with like the later teams and like the later regulations, like the Articuno teams. You can always hit Tachyon Cutter, and you can always just KO it. But I really like the Iron Crown. It had good defenses, it's good speed, very good special attack, and just the bulk was very, very nice. I just like the speed point as well. So that made me like decide to run like Iron Crown in the first place.
Yeah, so there's your point just there. Just the fact that it's 98 speed, 122 special attack, 90 HP, but with that 100 defense and 108 special defense, Iron Crown actually does have quite nice rounded stats for what you want to do with it. The other question I have then is, obviously, you've explained about, having Iron Crown with the Indeedee, but also Tailwind pair, so you can spam Expanding Forces, but also be ahead. The role of Landorus, like, we know how disgusting this thing is, but it just in your own words, like, what made you lean towards our esports folding armed god?
So the original, like the team, this was the original team also had a Chiyu, I think, on this team as well, instead of either Landorus or Ogerpon. I didn't really like Chiyu because it was already starting to miss moves, so I was like, I'm just not going to deal with Chiyu right now. We're just going to use Landorus. So Landorus is incredibly strong, especially with the Tailwind, as well as Indeedee being able to one-shot things with Helping Hand Earth Power, Helping Hand Sandseer Storm, Helping Hand Sludge Bomb. It's incredibly good into balanced teams, because you can just immediately just one-shot the Rillaboom, the Incineroar, the Urshifu. You can even just click Tailwind and Earth Power and just one-shot most of the things that the Urshifus that didn't have any bulk. The damage output is insane, and you really need any bulk because you had redirection with Indeedee, and you also had the Tailwind with Tornadus. And the interesting thing is, of course, Landorus is just the damage it does with Sheer Force Earth Power. You can pick up one-hit knockouts, the things that resist it, with Helping Hand. So that was the main point. I want to do a lot of damage on the turns that I could capitalize with, Helping Hand. And if you Terra, you not only lose the flying type, you can't get faked out. So it's very nice against, if they lead Incineroar plus something else like Frigoraph, you can just Terra, Helping Hand, Earth Power the other slot, and just KO it without getting faked out, which was very, very nice.
I've heard that one of the problems with Iron Crown was that a lot of the time people struggled with having not the right type of speed control, because they wanted to be fast, so they would go for maybe a boost of speed to make sure that they could outspeed stuff, but it was never fast enough because you can't outspeed the higher tier threats anyway. So it seems that you got a really interesting way of dealing with that by just having the Tailwind in there, which is like not what you would expect on a PSYSPAM team, especially with the Indeedee running the Trick Room too. I wonder, is Indeedee a Pokemon that you started using more this generation, or was it something that you had used early on in your VGC career as well?
No, it's just generation. I started only playing with Indeedee. I started first playing like Indeedee in, I say, Regulation D probably, before I was playing on other balanced teams. But I noticed that I was getting very, very tired, especially playing those things for 8 to 10 hours. I wanted something that at least I can, I can make those reads, especially with the NDD swapping in or just clicking helping hand, etc. Making those reads, I have gotten a lot better at, I think, over the last year or so. And that when the NDD helped a lot with the damage output, with helping hand, as well as, reversing Trick Room again, or setting up Trick Room in some circumstances that's like you can set up Trick Room and then you can just win the game off the bat.
So really utilizing the ability to set it up if you want to, or use it as like a counter strategy there. Really interesting.
The dynamic between you using Single Strike Urshifu and Ogerpon Wellspring, was there ever a point in your mind where you were going to use Rapid Strike Urshifu and say, for example, maybe Ogerpon Heartflame?
So I tried out both in a MSS in Dortmund with both Urshifu Rapid Strike and with Ogerpon Heartflame. The issue was because I have Tornadoes with Rain Dance, you're basically negating your own Ogerpon with like open fire because you're doing less damage with Ivy Cudgel. Not being able to switch into, let's say, because most Urshifus were Choice Scarfed, not being able to have that sash and also breaking, or I guess hitting other Ogerpon Wellsprings, because there was a lot more Ogerpon Wellsprings that were popping up, not being walled up by those with your own Urshifu, was a very, very nice thing. And clicking Helping Hand Wicked Blow was just incredible, just to pick up one-hit knockouts onto some Pokemon, so you don't have to worry about, let's say, you can even do a lot of damage to an Amoonguss, because like an Amoonguss, you can just click Wicked Blow Psychic, and most of the times you'll pick up the knockout. With Urshifu Rapid Strike, like Surging Strikes is normally going to do that much damage, and you're going to take a lot of recoil in return, so I just switched back to the Urshifu Dark. And it's also nice for the mirror matches against Iron Crown, because you'll be immune, of course, to the Expanding Force as well.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with all that, and to be fair, that's why I did the same.
You mentioned that changing to this team meant that you started doing a lot more hard reads, and I wondered, if you were to explain exactly what a hard read was to a new player, how would you explain that? Because I think a lot of terms kind of get thrown around quite a lot, and I wonder if people know exactly what they are. So from your point of view, and what is a hard read, and how is it that you've managed to hone that skill of making them?
Hard reads, at least in my eyes, is making plays that, if they pay off, they'll set you up to win pretty much immediately. But if they don't, you'll pretty much be on the back foot. So it's a balance between like sort of like it's sometimes like unsafe to do that play. But if you make that play and your opponent does that play, you'll be put ahead so much further, and you'll pretty much always win the match, unless they get really unlucky or they make a very good counterplay. But at least in my opinion, like I've been playing PSYSPAM for like almost like 9 months, so making those really hard reads, I've been practicing for a long time. And the way I do that is, of course, I analyze like the how they're playing. If they're playing really safe throughout the set, and say in game 1 they play really safe, game 2 I can just start if I win the first game, I go really hard on the hard reads, and then just try and snowball to try and win out from there, basically.
There was a moment in Liverpool for me when I was using this team where I was going to have to make a hard read, because one of the Pokemon that kind of annoyed me was Pelipper when using this, because it calls Wide Guard Pelipper.
Yep.
Like, not room service Pelipper. Like, you're not for me room service. How dare it? Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like a Sash Wide Guard Pelipper, which annoyed me so much. I actually noticed on my opponent's team sheet, he did not have Wide Guard at all. So I was already 1-0 up at this point, but I noticed I only bothered noticing on his team sheet during game 2 that I was like, hang on, you're not running Wide Guard. So I was like, Iron Crown indeed.
I noticed this as well. Like a lot of, like, if you can analyze a player's playstyle and during the set, it can really help you make those reads a lot like more comfortably. Because let's say the player is playing like really, I know a player is playing really safe based on their like game 1 or previous knowledge that I have from seeing them playing in other tournaments, etc. You can make those reads on turn 1 and just immediately be so far ahead. Let's say you're playing against the Raging Bull Balance team. Most Raging Bull Balance teams back then were Terra Grass with Calm Mind. So I would just lead Landorus plus Indeedee and just click Helping Hand Sludge Bomb into the Raging Bolt, and they would just instantly Terra and just get KO'd, and I would just pretty much win from there.
Oh, I see. So I suppose for you, it's about facilitating the ability to make a hard read much easier. So the Helping Hand Sludge Bomb in a position like that does make a lot of sense actually. So yeah, the skill there is identifying when the hard read presents itself in a place to make, and I think that's great actually. It's something I'm definitely going to be taking forward with me.
I love the fact that we're reminiscing about Terra Grass Raging Bolt.
Back in the
Remember
day.
those days?
Yeah.
God, God.
Calm Mind Raging Bolts.
Calm Mind Raging Bolt. God, we're so old. So I want to compare now your Liverpool team to the team you ran at EUIC, which of course was another successful tournament for yourself. And immediately I'm seeing here Iron Crown is no longer Terra Water, it's now Terra Psychic. I'm assuming this is because you wanted to get that extra stab damage off with Expanding Force, but also probably lose some of those steel weaknesses that were probably common at the time.
Yeah, so the things that were picking up a lot during UIC was like, instead of Calm Mind Raging Bolts, there's going to be Assault Vest Raging Bolts. And with Terra Water, I can't really defensively Terra because then I just get KO'd by Thunderbolt. So I decided, why not just go Terra Psychic? I already had enough to deal with Incineroars, with Landorus, of course, with Urshifu, and also Ogerpon. So I think I don't really need the Terra Blast anymore. So I was like, I might as well just run Terra Psychic Expanding Force, because with Helping Hand, Terra Psychic Expanding Force in terrain does usually about 90% to the Raging Bolts, in like Assault Vest Raging Bolts that were running back then. So you would even Oko like Water Ogerpons that terrestrialized. So it was really, really like a lot of damage. And so I have the other tools to deal with Incineroar, and as well as other things. So I felt comfortable running Terra Psychic Expanding Force.
Sorry, I should also mention you were running Focus Blast as well. Yeah, please explain this one.
Yes. So Focus Blast, it's of course it's a Hail Mary move. It'll, of course, 70% of the time it will hit, but I run this mainly also to count for mirror matches, because the mirror matches, because there wasn't that many mirror matches, but the mirror matches, you pretty much couldn't really touch the other Iron Crown. You would do like, maybe like Expanding Force would do like maybe 20%, maybe 15%. So Helping Hand Focus Blast on turn 1, clicking that into an Iron Crown, opposing Iron Crown, do like 80%, then you just win from there.
Okay, right, I understand now. Because I only say that because I remember you were saying to me, like, anyone who runs Focus Blast needs to be talked to. It's like, did KD speak to himself? KD's in the mirror being like, I told you.
Funny thing is, I clicked 5 Focus Blasts in UIC and I hit 4 of them.
Oh, wow.
So,
Wow.
Yeah, okay, yeah, luck was on your side there. Jesus.
Yeah, it was.
Like, that's well good. Well, is there any other changes you made to your team? Or was it just more just EV spreads? Yeah.
Yeah, so I think the Torn EV spread was just, I guess, a little bit more optimized, because the other one was, I think I was wasting like a few EVs on the Torn, so I just pretty much just swapped around the defense and the speed. And then for Ogerpon, I set up made it, because this one on the first one was a Sword Stance Ogerpon. The other one was a Follow Me Ogerpon with Jolly Nature, so you could outspeed Landorus. The other one couldn't outspeed Landorus, so it was just I guess a couple of changes here and there to support the team. And I noticed that Follow Me was also quite nice, having 2 Follow Me users, as well as a really fast Ogerpon, just like bonking your opponents.
Well, I guess you would have the knowledge now from Liverpool and obviously the events leading up to EUIC to optimize what you wanted out of this team. But it's still really fascinating to see. So, for example, here, your Liverpool team, the Torn was a bold nature, whereas because you put a lot of defense investment into your EUIC version, you allowed yourself to go timid, in order to get some of that back. So, yeah, really, really well optimized, actually, I would say.
I think it hit 151 speed, I believe. So you would outspeed Urshifu and like Ogerpon, so like outspeed Urshifu at 1 point. So you can just click Icy Wind plus like Earth Power, etc. So it's also really good against those teams with Urshifu Fluttermane, the Speed Boost Fluttermane, because your Torn is Cover Cloak. You can just click Icy Wind plus Terra Poison Earth Power into Urshifu, and it would just pretty much always KO. Unless if you hit, of course, but that's like another thing. But you hit 95% of the time, so you'll mostly always hit the things, and then after you can set Tailwind and then just
you take it from there, really, right? Yeah.
You played this team throughout 2 like pretty big regional tournaments. What would you say the main takeaway from this was for the entirety of the regulation?
I think the main takeaway, the evolution of like balance teams. I think Rage Bolt balance teams, they were getting a lot more popular. I mean, in the beginning it was like almost none, and then at the end it was a lot of Raging Bolt balance teams. So it was like, figuring out how I can like output more damage because it's like a more like immediate damage instead of like setting up with let's say Swordless Ogre Pawn. It was just too slow, so I had to figure out a way to try and just do as much damage as possible, while also maintaining like a little bit of bulk. I guess yeah, a lot more balance. I saw a little more balanced teams at the end of Regulation F. At least in Europe, of course, it's a lot more known for playing balance instead of hyper offense. Of course, there's a couple people like myself that run like really hyper offense style teams, but most of the players they run a lot of balanced teams.
So like a movement from originally starting playing that balanced style, moving it over, like taking that logic from the balanced play, and then using it throughout Regulation D and E and F, I suppose, as well, to get right to that to this point with this hyper offensive team that could handle those balanced plays. I love that. Great accumulation of knowledge that I reckon is still going to be useful going forward in the next season as well.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm really excited to play against in the new season with all the new regionals that have been lined up for us. So I've already planned a couple regionals I was going to go to. I think the one in Lille and Stuttgart that are like the first couple ones I was trying to go to. So it'll be interesting as well.
I do love how you said for us, because in my mind I was like, oh yeah, the UK haven't got anything yet.
Oh yeah.
But to be fair, I think we can talk more about that in a bit. My last question for you then, KD, is less about you as a VGC player, but more about like, do you still carry that suitcase around when you go to regionals?
Oh, you mean the huge backpack?
The huge, yeah, because people might not know this.
It's right there.
Yeah, so I'm going to share a little story quickly.
Let me
go and get it. Go get it.
Oh, okay.
Right. So when, because obviously Liverpool was my first regional, and it was the first time I was going to be doing a regional with KD, because the last couple of times we've met was very, oh my God, look at that big boy. Look at the big boy. That's well suited.
Brilliant.
Basically I was having breakfast with my other half, and Katie's on the table next to me, and Katie's like, are you ready for today? We're gonna do our best, aren't we? And I was like, yeah. In my head I was like, absolutely not. Then Katie, this is it. So Katie brought that laptop bag with him to the regional, but
Beautiful.
He didn't tell me about it. So we're walking to the arena. We're walking to the venue, and Katie's literally crossing the road with this laptop bag, walking beside him. Like, he honestly had the posture and the walking prowess of someone about to go to like the financial district in London. And we were joking along the way about Katie's laptop bag, and Katie made an amazing joke, which I still think about quite often, of I'm going to actually show off a presentation as to why I'm going to beat my opponent before we actually have the match. So it'll be like this really cheesy Microsoft PowerPoint. Katie just proves all of his plays, like, so I'm actually going to leave with this, and you're actually going to cry.
Yeah, I think also one of the things that came out of that Liverpool thing was, I think Lorcy quote tweeted something.
Yes, you were literally just like, another day in the office. The whole time was just like, so how was your meeting? How was your business meeting? Katie's like, it was very fruitful. I won.
Just imagining like, I have to file these calcs by Monday.
I have to file these calcs by Monday, otherwise I can't put food on the table for my wife and kids.
My family depends on me to win this.
My family depends on me. Honestly, it was so good that it was one of my favorite memories of that weekend, was just like joking with Katie about a freaking laptop bag while we're waiting to get into the venue. Like, and all of his Dutch mates are just like, yeah, Katie, why have you got that?
Yeah. And now I just bring it to every regional, because I kind of it's just such a...
It's so easy, though.
Such a thing that stuck with me as well.
Yeah, honestly, I loved it. Absolutely. So funny. KD, the businessman. If you turned up in a suit, you could have easily just done a Larry cosplay. Maybe that's a task for you next season. Like,
maybe next season, the first regional I go to, I just cosplay as Larry and then just
somebody,
stream.
If Janzu can beat Ebenezer Scrooge.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, at the moment you've got to beat like Scrooge and a banana. So like,
and the hot dog. Like,
and hot dog.
And the hot dog. I mean, me and Barrett were gonna turn up to a regional with fish and chips, or
as a tradition.
Or hear me out. Barrett dresses up as Chips, and I dress up as a seagull. So I'm just chasing Barrett throughout the venue.
I might be short enough for the scale to look realistic. So.
I am realistic scale of a chip.
Big seagull.
But yes, obviously, KD, I've known you for quite a while. It's always been a pleasure and an honor to have conversations with you, whenever we're either streaming together or just having a laugh together, or whether you're giving me motivation for VGC-ness and team building. You are, without a doubt, one of the most talented players that I know. Same goes to Captain Oro last week. Like, I think we are blessed with just this level of caliber players that we know. Like, I think it's just great that it's not just locally, it's throughout Europe as well. So obviously, KD, I think it's only going to go up and up for you, personally. I think, like Barrett said earlier, you are close to winning a regional, and I think that's going to happen. It's going to be when, not if, with you, my boy.
Yes.
Yeah, when that day comes, that's gonna be, I don't know, I probably might just break down in tears. I don't know. That's gonna be probably the craziest day of my life, probably.
And that's where the Larry cosplay comes in.
I just come in my Larry cosplay, guys. I gotta go to work.
Yeah, no, literally, that should be your victory speech.
I
Charlie's
got a meeting in 5 minutes.
Yeah, Charlie's just interviewing you, and he's just like, "How does it feel?" And you're like, "Well, I've got a meeting in 5 minutes. Can you wrap this up?"
Walks onto stage, picks up trophy, walks off stage.
Yeah,
they
see
go,
you guys
"Bye,
later."
Larry."
Yeah. Everyone literally doesn't say bye, KD. They're like, bye, Larry.
I just imagining Rosemary Kelly waving, "Bye, Larry."
Kelly says,
She's like totally cool.
I just walk off. I just storm off. Just run to the.
The thing is, though, I'm so imagining like someone just whispers into Kelly's ears, just like, "You do know he's cosplaying. That's not really Larry."
Yeah.
It's like, "Oh, you don't know that."